So the other day I heard a Pokemon rumour that I hadn't come across before. The turn any Pokeball into a Master Ball cheat. Something that annoys me to this day that the Master Ball cheat, A, B, down B, actually f***ing worked. 100% of the time. It was an actual legit thing I did over and over and people are like, no, that's just a myth. The gist of the theory is that you can make any ball have a 100% catch rate as long as you do these things. Use a Pokeball on the first turn without weakening the Pokemon first, hold A and B while the Pokeball is being thrown, and then switch to holding down and B while the Pokeball is doing its opening animation, then just hold down and B until the Pokemon is caught. I had a look online, but I couldn't find anything confirming or debunking this cheat code or even mentioning it at all, which I thought if it was true, there would probably be something about it out there because it's a very simple thing to do and it would completely change the way that the games were played, especially during speedruns. Since there's no information about it out there, I decided to generate some myself to analyse. So I thought, hey, I've got nothing better to do all day, I might as well do some science! That's a lie, I have a lot to do, I'm extremely busy. Supposedly this cheat worked in Generation 2, so I sat down with Pokemon Crystal, bought 50 Pokeballs, went to Ilex Forest, and threw every single one of them, writing down my results doing the cheat code. And you can see here that I stopped to nickname the Togepi, forgetting that I was going to reset the game anyway. First of all, though, I did a control group so that we could compare them. 50 times, I just threw a Pokeball on the first turn without doing any button presses while the animations were happening, and then I ran if the Pokemon wasn't caught immediately. This means that we have something to compare our results to when we do the proper test. Next, I reset the game to before I threw all 50 Pokeballs, so we're still working from the exact same point in-game. I then proceeded to have another 50 encounters with wild Pokemon. This time, however, I did the code every time I threw the ball. I would throw the ball on the first turn as described, do the code exactly as described, and note my result. So here's the raw data that I collected, and here's a more presentable version that I typed up on the computer. The first column is my control group, where I did no button pushes and just threw the Pokeball. The second column is where I did the cheat code. The red X's indicate me not catching a Pokemon, whereas the green circles indicate the Pokemon being caught successfully. You can see that the two sets of results are pretty similar, so let's do some statistical analysis on them. Before we compare the results to a hypothesis, let's figure out a projection of what we would expect to see. I calculated the catch rate for each of the 5 Pokemon that I encountered in Ilex Forest: Oddish, Paris, Venonat, Psyduck, and Hoothoot, and then took their average catch rate, to give us an idea of the catch rate that we would expect to see. Rounding it off, we get a catch rate of about 28.6%, which means that 28.6% of the time, just throwing a Pokeball without weakening the Pokemon should have worked in this scenario. There's a bunch of complicated math that goes into figuring all that out, so I'm not going to go through that here, but I'll link to it in the description because ain't nobody got time for that. The key thing to take away from it is that we would expect to see the Pokeball work on its own roughly 28.6% of the time, which I'm going to round up to 29%, since I didn't encounter all the Pokemon evenly because they have different encounter rates, and it seemed like that was just too much of a level of detail to factor in. It wouldn't have made that significant of a difference. Less than 1% anyway. So how did the catch rates of the two groups match up against the projected catch rate from calculating the different catch rates, and our hypothesis of 100%? Well, perhaps unsurprisingly, both groups returned roughly the same. The control group had a 22% catch rate, while the group I used the cheat code with had a 28% catch rate, which both fell slightly short of the actual projected catch rate, but that is to be expected with a sample size that's so small. If I tested it on 100 Pokemon, or perhaps 1,000 Pokemon, you'd expect to see it come out to around about the same as you get more data points. Certainly, both fall within the expected range projected from the game's catch rate, and the result falls very far short of the hypothesis of 100%. So I'm going to call this one busted. So, where did this idea come from? Well, I think that it's just a combination of the hazy memories of youth and confirmation bias. The 14 times that it worked out of 50 when I was doing the code, 3 of them happened in a row, one after the other, which, if you're a kid, is certainly enough to make you think that there might be a correlation there. Add on 15 years of looking back at that, and of course you'd start thinking, yeah, I swear that used to work all the time. Simply because you're looking back at childhood memories, and memories get distorted over time. But now it's been put to the test with science. Pokemon science. If you have a rumour that you've heard about Pokemon that can be tested in this way, let me know in the comments, because I would love to do more of these, anything to put off doing actual work.